All right, so in true Badge Talk fashion, I have prepared like 3 slides in the last 10 minutes, and we're just going to wing it. So, first of all, did anyone love the badge? Sweet. Did anyone hate the badge? Sweet, even better. I hate the vending machine too. All right. So, we had a bigger team this year than we've ever had. It was awesome, and it's hard to make something this complicated with a bunch of people. So lots of different challenges this year, even though we had tons more help. Yeah, so many people, and this doesn't even count all the helpers we had for assembly and everything else, the helpers we had here on site helping to set up the network. Have to give a huge shout out to BP, who, yeah, he just did so much helping with the network and helping at the booth, and everything else went way above and beyond. So, engagement this year was higher than we've ever had. I believe last year, the number of people that played the game was just over 500. This year, it was 1,321 people actually turned their badge on, created a character, and did something. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. And quite a few people played after hours, which is impressive because you have to be near the conference center. You like all night, just camped out here? Nice. Okay. So, and yeah, even then, out of 1,300 people who played, 530 didn't join a party, which means 800 plus people actually talked to another person and played the game. So, kudos to all of you. That's awesome. Does that include Vens? Both? That's both. All right, so now we get to the slideshow portion. And it's all the photos I very quickly downloaded from Google Photos, and we're just going to kind of go through this. Yeah. Not to mention, do we trust the Wi-Fi to work? Mostly, but you never know. We don't want to, anger the demo gods. Don't do it live. Okay.
Mike, why you do me a dirty like that?
You're welcome. Different Wi-Fi. So, good to know. All right, so this is some of our fun times trying to figure out what color schemes worked and didn't. And some of them got really weird and really ugly. And we did settle on the purple and green. I don't know how many people ended up liking that, but it was different. It was okay, yeah. Feedback is welcome. And we kind of settled on this just about. The pink one ended up with, I think, green tops, didn't it? Yeah. By the way, who's been down and seen the wall in the Badge Life booth? All the coins. Okay. Should I talk about the wall? Okay. So the wall was a ridiculous, crazy thing that happened because I like to browse public surplus. And one day, UVU was getting rid of some LED sign panels, like 4 giant crates of them for $100. And no one else bid on it, and so I did. And so I ended up with these crates of LED panels, and they happened to be like real sign panels, like from Yesco, and they're freaking awesome, only I didn't have the stuff to make them work. And so I found through a contact someone who knew someone who worked there and was able to help me out in figuring out what hardware to buy to make it work and get the right firmware to make it run. And then I spent way more than $100 getting all the rest of the parts to make it work. Yeah, so yeah, it's my wife and kids helping assemble panels and put them in frames, and it was a ton of work. Yeah, and so we ended up with 12 of those panels. I don't know, because they're not fully waterproof, so maybe, if I find time to actually enclose them. Okay, so let's talk about assembly on these boards. This year, we decided to do the assembly in-house, which was insane and crazy and not a great idea, but it worked in the end. Mostly, we ran out of time and ended up putting in stupid numbers of hours in the last couple weeks to get it done. So let me see if we got a good... Oh, there's a vending machine. These are all out of order. This is the one that doesn't work, by the way. Okay, we're going to talk about mini badges. So, for the game, Katie designed 29 different mini badge designs for the game. Yeah. Yeah. And in total, we produced 11,000 mini badges just for the game itself. Yeah, it was nuts. So yeah, we did them in panels. Yep, Troy and his wife packaged most of all of them. Yeah, like crazy. Yep, stapled them to cards, packaged them up, put them in individual boxes so we knew what they were. Yeah, freaking awesome. So yeah, piles and piles of mini badges. And yeah, there's me programming all the mini badges one by one. So this is our pick and place machine. Yes, I have a picture of that, I think. I'll find it. Oh, there's a dog. Yeah. Yeah, more crazy fun assembly for weeks and weeks. These are the cutoffs from all the mini badge panels, all the rails. And there's the kids going through, cutting them apart from the panels, and yeah, child labor. Yeah, they did.
And they're around here too. I don't think that you sometimes recognize, you might recognize their kids, but they do a ton of work for this. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, they do a lot.
Probably to the point to where we might be under investigation for child labor law.
Yeah.
You bought them steak? Okay.
Yeah, we bought them good food. It's good. So this is half of our assembly line. On the far left is the solder paste stencil machine, which I do have a video of that because it's awesome. Yeah. Then the pick and place machine, and then we've got the reflow oven and the optical inspection machine. And yeah, Clippy's there helping to assemble boards. So, why do we have a picture of this reel of stuff? All right, so here's some of the final assembly. Just imagine this, but times 100 or 1,000. There's not that many there. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, a lot of them. By the way, if any of you don't have one of those little electric screwdrivers, they're freaking amazing. We found that out through this process and bought a lot of them. Yeah, whole assembly line of doing all the fiddly little, put the screen on, put the speaker on, put all those little bits on. Yep, solder all the headers. Yep. So many headers. Hey, there's... Yep. So mini badge extender, which Katie designed, freaking awesome. So a bit of a, yeah. Yeah, bit of a hacker play on the traditional D&D bag of holding, the backpack of holding. Yeah, awesome. Here's us setting up the wall on Monday or Sunday, one of those two. Chris for size. Yeah. The vending machine full of stuff. I think that's the last one. Cool. All right. What else do we need to talk about, guys? I know there's lots. Gameplay. Dialogue. You want to talk about dialogue? Sure. Yeah.
So
he's got his own mic.
I got my own mic. I'm fancy like that. I also have no voice. Thanks for making me do Clippy for like 4 days straight. So first off, before I tell you who had a big part in writing the story, did you like it? Okay, I had a part in it. No. It was a collaborative effort. Keen, Chris, myself. Believe it or not, when we were writing the story, we actually came up with the idea for how the story and the plot would go, I'd say months ago. And then we kept trying to try something new, and we'd put it together. I'm like, no, we don't like how that flows. We don't like how that works. And then the gameplay kind of design shifted a little bit on us. We're like, okay, well, let's try to figure it out. Most of you, I've told a lot of you, but many of you know, I actually wrote most of the outline on my honeymoon. I'd wait till my wife went to bed, and then I'd go up on top of the deck on a cruise ship and would write. So, is anyone okay with spoilers? Are we okay with spoilers? Yeah. Okay. So, if you ran into a final boss that that has a name shared with a planet, you might have noticed what he looked like. I was standing on top of a cruise ship, and I looked up and I go, that'll work, because I looked at the moon. Oh, sorry, I'm not in front of the podium because you haven't seen me enough. You've seen my 8-bit sprite every time anything has happened forever. But yeah, so believe it or not, there's probably at least, I would say, half a dozen pop culture references or inside jokes in every single incident. And we actually were writing them in such a way that me and Chris were flipping back and forth on who was writing dialogue. So you'll notice the style changes a little bit, here's-y, there's-y. You can tell everyone I wrote because I do the 3 dots in between dialogue things. That's my style. So anytime you see 3 dots, you're like, oh, that's Clippers, that's you wrote. And Chris doesn't do that. The typos were not intentional. They were done late at night, and I didn't proofread it. I do know how to spell access, believe it or not, just not at 2 a.m. But yeah, is anybody questions on the story? Yeah, go ahead. So really the whole idea behind it was Jupiter was kind of pulling the strings throughout the story, and then Clippy was the first one he could corrupt and build the AI version of. So I was the first one corrupted and put into his plans. Which is easy to corrupt me. I mean, a sugar-free Red Bull and I'll probably do anything. Any other questions or plot reveals or any references you didn't get? That's always a fun one.
I'll do a probing question. Does the story continue from here?
I don't know if, are we allowed to talk about that?
I mean, you brought it up.
You brought it up. So as all of you know, you all were instrumental in ruining the people that were trying to stop the bad guys. So really the baddies were you the whole time. So yeah, you were the baddies. Luckily, you have a change of heart at the end, and you form the Cyber Guardians Resistance. However, I would say you are all not out of the woods because the damage you did this week is pretty rough. And we'll go with that. But first off, just thanks to Mike and Katie for being so welcoming. The badge team, Redacted, Plum, Brian, we had an amazing time. It's a ton of work, but it truly is a labor of love. I remember, as you know, I'm a newlywed, and I wrote a lot of it on the honeymoon. My wife goes, so every SAINTCON, is it normal to be out till like 3 a.m. soldering? I'm like, yeah. It is. She's like, do I need to like plan on this for the rest of our marriage? And I went, yeah, you do. So, but luckily she's understanding. Thanks, shout out to Beatrice. She was super welcoming, and no, she's great, super supportive, and there's nothing like getting married and then saying, well, I'm gonna work on badges for the next 3 weeks, ciao. So, redacted plum, do you wanna add backend, API, all that good stuff? When are we doing the fun stats? Is that after this? The interesting stats. Do we have that in the last bit, or is that here? Okay, so there's one stat that Redacted pulled for me, which is the most funny stat that we did.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, go for it.
We can do it? Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm leaving the podium. Sorry, AV guys, love you. So is anyone curious which item was shared the most? Yes. It was Clipper's headband. We actually tracked down to the individual item and who owned it and who shared it the most. It was my Clippers headband that was shared the most across the game, and it found its way into like 39 badges. The funny thing is, I recognize one person a day in that list, and then I don't know any of the others. So like people just passed my headband around like around the con. I'm like, I don't know any of these people. So this one right here was the most promiscuous badge in SAINTCON history. If you want to come back, we'll slap it anymore, and we'll see if we can get to 100 by the end. So, but thank you, Mike. Mike and Katie.
All right. Do you guys want to talk about backend and code stuff? It's fine if you don't. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I didn't prepare either.
Is that on?
Yeah.
I didn't play as much in the beta as I thought I would. I told Mike earlier, about a year ago, that I'd help him out, and then like 6 months goes by, and he's like, "Oh, not yet." 3 more months goes by, and I still don't hear from him. A month ago, Mike reaches out and says, "We need some help writing code," and that I don't think I've thrown code as loose and as fast as I did over the last 30 days. Like I went back and did some stats. I threw 5,000 lines of code, not including the asset arts, over the last 30 days, and I'm surprised it runs, guys. I am. Like,
It's amazing.
but yeah, and then the API. I'm sure you're gonna say something about the API, because we were like last minute putting things together and drawing. Like the document was changing as I was trying to write to it.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. Just kind of last minute changes, and I was trying my best to document API, and then we just quickly outran documentation. So it was a lot of fun, but it was the last 2 months were kind of a blur.
Yeah, so my apologies to these two because, yeah, they got thrown into the fire really late, which is my fault, and they just knocked it out of the park and made this game happen for all of you. So kudos to you guys. And if you're willing to help next year, we will start tomorrow. It'll be better. Okay.
Don't wait for him to contact you.
Yeah.
Contact him.
I'll reach out to you.
All right. Questions? Yeah.
What's the API in the backend written?
Yeah, so it's mostly a Flask API, just a bunch of blueprints for the different features, and MySQL database. And then we didn't need it, but there's an Nginx load balancer, but everything ran on one like micro instance in AWS. So it handled, I don't know if that stat was up there, but
Yeah, let
when
me
I checked
grab
this
that.
morning, we were at about 2.86 million API calls over the last 4 days.
Yeah, you didn't give me that stat.
I think it was the first line. It's the one I was proud of.
It is. My bad. Yeah, 2.8 million API calls. It's impressive. Okay.
Can we get the code to play ourselves?
Code to play yourselves. So yes, we will release the code after the con. As for playing on your own, I think we're going to try to get the server into a state that it will handle that nicely, because you got to be able to make parties and all that, and you're not in person, and it's a thing. So
Or you make it to where they just have to get together to party up.
yeah, maybe. So, but yes, the code will be available. Yeah. Yeah.
Firmware update is robust. How did you keep from working your firmware during the updates? Firmware that you swap between?
Yeah, so with the ESP32, kind of the, not built-in library, but the library provided by Espressif does that on its own. There are two slots for firmware in the partition table, and yeah, until it gets a full one, verifies it, it won't swap over to it. So you lose half your flash, but you don't lose your firmware. So yeah. The accelerometer is for things that we didn't end up getting to. Yep, same with the speaker. We had grand and glorious plans, and then, like was mentioned, I failed at getting people together early enough and having hardware ready, and we didn't get to it. So maybe a future firmware update, maybe someone will make a pull request and add sounds and stuff. Any other questions? I haven't totaled it up, but it's somewhere in the $30 to $35 range. Yeah, without labor. Labor doesn't count. Yes. What about it? So the vending machine idea came from a conference called CipherCon. I attended that a year and a half ago, and they had a vending machine that the badges interacted with, and you could earn points and get things out of. I'm like, we got to do this. And so we found some vending machines and mostly made it happen.
How complicated was it when you decided to bring back the I2C pins and figure that out? Was that a big piece of doing it to meet a goal and what you wanted with the game, or was it like, hey, we got to do this and then figure out a game with it?
So with the I2C pins, I mean, it's always been there. It's always supported it. And yeah, we just needed a way to identify individual badges. So I2C EPROMs was a natural fit, and it worked pretty well. Any other questions for any of us? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me find that. One moment. But this is going to require me to actually go through Google Photos, so one moment.
I'm really glad you unplugged.
While he's looking, can somebody share what are the hardware components? What's the CPU? What unit is the screen? Stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's an ESP32 S3. And then the screen, it's a 320 by 240. Yeah. It's nothing crazy fancy.
So that was a plant. So I came from a world where I was a LAN WAN analysis for many years. And anytime I'd get a PCAP, I'd always have some know-it-all who worked there who said, I've already looked at it and it's not the problem. And I'd have to say, yeah, I want to, have a look for myself. You'll notice the enemy you fight in that one is a guy named Repilk. Say that name backwards. That's Clipper. So I was basically making the joke that people get stuck in their ways and don't, they start scrolling through. You heard the scrolling sound in Suffice, you saw that? That's people who don't know how to read a Wireshark will sit there and scroll looking for a red line in it and then shout out that's the problem. So that was that joke.
So this is it's named Pick and Rick. When we bought this machine a little over 3 years ago, we very quickly decided it needed a name that we could yell when it was doing something stupid. And we named it Rick from Rick and Morty because it acts like a drunk old man and does whatever it wants. So, yeah, that's Pick and Rick.
You don't happen to have a video of it running, do you?
You sent me a video of the.
Don't understand what a pick and place is and how maybe that process works, and it might be really fascinating for people to see that.
Okay. While we were searching for that, I have a video of the solder paste stencil machine.
Okay, that would be cool too, because you've got to get solder paste onto those boards first, so that you can place the components on it, to then put it through the oven. That's essentially the process. So.
Yeah. No. Yeah, so that's the stencil machine, which is amazing because if you've ever done any kind of reflow on boards, having consistent solder paste makes all the difference in the world. If it's a little bit thicker over here and thinner over here, you get bridges, you get all kinds of problems. Yeah. You probably could, but it'd be really slow. Like normal screen printing machines are a bit faster. Yeah.
Technology, different medium.
Yep.
What's the story behind the redacted badge?
The redacted badge. You want to talk about that?
If you just want to go up developer perks, that's fine.
So yeah, the story behind, maybe clarify so I don't go down some rabbit hole that you're not wanting to hear. Can you clarify that question? The story behind.
There was a badge that a few people got. There weren't many of them, but when you plugged it into your badge, it gave you like a redacted bonus. Like, what was that about?
Right. So that's my handle of redacted, and so I like to make mini badges, and so like Jupiter said, part of the perk of being on the badge team, I decided to add some that capability. Yeah. So just like the mini badges that you could get out of the vending machine, I decided to add that and just kind of with the if you notice, you plug a badge in and then you see the matrix scrolling, and so the bonus you got is a reference to Neo the One, which gave a couple perks to each type, the luck stat, the attack, the defend. So that was just the storyline behind that.
Working on it.
The actually part that you forgot to mention there is he didn't tell the rest of the badge team about that whatsoever. And I just bought one because I thought it was cool. And we plugged it in and I had never played the game until Hack in the Box. I hadn't even tried it yet. I'd been working the whole time. And everyone was wondering, like, why are you so powerful? I'm like, I don't know. And then I looked at my inventory and I'm like, the One and redacted. And I'm like, oh. And how many DMs did you get that night when we found out? It blew up. Like, he got like 20 DMs from Hack in the Box going, I need a redacted badge. So naturally, we gathered all four and tried to stack them, and they didn't stack. He was nice that way.
Did anyone tell redacted that there was black market price for it?
The biggest price we heard was $60. I don't know if it went up from there.
Well, I was actually at Hack in the Box last night, and Dark Matter was doing an auction for what was it? The NAMI, which is a great organization, and there was all kinds of great banners and stuff. And I had one left, one of my personal one, so I offered that one up, and it kind of blew me away that the auction price went for $135. So yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah. that was one of those things that I did know about, kind of. So it's like, yeah, I've got my own, so we'll put it in and, make the badge read it, and then, he controlled the database. So it did that. And then also coming up with numbers to try to balance a game is extremely difficult. And so that was all, of course, last minute. Like, most of that happened Monday night. Yeah, that's how last minute this was. And so that was kind of in the back of your mind, like, we hadn't really thought about how powerful that badge was at that point because everything was just kind of made up numbers before then. So
So they appropriately nerfed it a little bit later.
it did get nerfed, of course, after everyone spent crazy amounts of money on it.
That was the coolest thing for me to see was, is Keen here? Because Keen shows up at the hotel with like 5 D&D books and these cards for monsters and their stats. And he's like, we're going to make this bad guy based off of this D&D monster. And we're going to set the stats based on this, campaign, this 5e, whatever. And it was just so cool to see him build that on the fly like that night. Because they asked him, and he's like, you know what? I have all these D&D books in my car by chance.
Yeah, super awesome. But one of the best things about the redacted badges, pretty much all of them were sold before anyone found out about that. So no one was buying them because of that, just because they're freaking awesome mini badges. So.
He's one of the prolific designers we've ever had.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, found the video. Yes.
We can find out what our loot was because we haven't had a chance to hit the vending machine because of the line. It's something to think about. Or do you just
Yeah.
kill anybody not to know, but it's like, what did I get?
Because we're still planning on doing what we talked about earlier.
Yeah. There's not a way on the badge to do it, which is, again, last minute stuff, things we wanted to do and didn't get around to. Yeah. Yeah, certain incidents gave you certain loot. It wasn't all that random. Yes, mustache is gone, so we shut that one off. Any other? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, let's watch your video and then we can talk about what we're doing with all of that.
Okay. Here's the pick and place going and grabbing parts, and got the camera takes a picture of the bottom of the part and makes sure it's aligned properly, and then puts it on the board. You can kind of see on the screen there what the camera sees a little bit. And the reflow oven. Did we catch a board coming out of it? Oh, okay. All good. I don't know if we can see a board in there. Not quite. But that's basically the process, and then we take it and we test it and we fix things, and then we solder all the headers on and all the other things. Do we have any other questions? Yeah. The bag of holding. So there are a few different things on there. There are 2 small holes, and that is because we did double duty on that. That was the Kids Night badge, and so that was for a battery holder that went on the back to power mini badges. And then there's also a couple solder jumpers on there to give that battery power to things like the clock pin and other things that the badge wouldn't power because it's not there. Sorry, one question.
You guys do an awesome job at involving volunteers in the conference. Have you ever considered doing volunteers before the conference to help with some of those mundane, repeated tasks?
Yeah, so part of the problem, as always, is the badge is kept super secret. And so involving people that aren't part of the planning group gets a little iffy. So that's why we traditionally haven't brought in other volunteers and whatnot to help with badge assembly. But If it gets crazier, maybe.
Yeah, it might end up being the thing for sure.
Thank you for offering.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'll probe a question. What are you gonna do with the still nearly 7,000 mini badges for the game that we have?
So all the extra mini badges. How do I say this without causing a riot? We don't want to take thousands of them home. So we're going to make them available to people who want them to add to their collection, their sets for their badge.
So that you can play after the con?
Yeah. We're not going to make them sets. We're not going to do anything crazy like that. And it'll probably be people come up and get a few and.
Yeah, so, and we'll make that available after this talk, but give us a few minutes to get down there and do something that is reasonable for how we handle these things out. But you're welcome to come get some of these and put them in your badge, and they'll work, but they don't necessarily tie to your character.
Oh, they'll work like they're.
Yeah.
It's not tied to your character when you buy them or whatever. So.
Drop stuff though, right?
The loot drops, right. And maybe we'll just wipe out the loot drops after
Yeah.
this.
We'll figure out any game dynamic stuff. But yeah, we don't want to take all these home, so make sure that you come down and get a few of them and take them with you.
And be respectful to those who are working at the thing. We are doing our best. We haven't slept a lot. And please do not rush each other. Just be kind.
We'll get through it, and we'll get through it pretty quick.
Yeah.
Thank you for not encasing them in concrete and burying them in the New Mexico desert.
That was actually floated as an idea. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go downstairs and get ready for the onset.
All right.
Ryan just gets up. He's like, she'll come with me. He'll keep you entertained.
Hey, all of you stay here. You're locked in. Don't run.
Drop some reveal or something, some tidbit.
Okay. We'll talk about something interesting. Okay. You were first, back there. Hang on. All right. Yes, so I'm glad you found it. So a couple of the mini badges gave certain classes more stuff, better stats. So for instance, the black hat and the white hat, if you were blue team, the white hat gave you slightly better stats. If you were red team, the black hat gave you slightly better stats. There were a few of them that did that just as a fun little Easter egg. Yeah.
Along with that, you said, say red team at the beginning, and then you wouldn't try to change the blue team. You go back in and it was back to red team. Would it ever let us actually switch?
I don't know, did it not? Oh, apparently class was locked, but the badge still lets you try to change it? Miscommunication and last minute stuff, yeah. It's good to know. Yeah. Oh, the auto clicker. Okay, I will find that real quick. Yeah.
So beyond the white hat thing, did classes have any other impact on the game?
Yeah, so your initial class had some impact. And it was because you had attack and defend stats. And so I think for like red team versus blue team, the stats were like 2 and 3 or 3 and 2, just because, blue team more defense and red team's more attack.
Do you have the stats on which class was picked most?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers, but we do have a dashboard and it was about 45% was blue team, and then the other 3 were about split evenly.
Is that because blue team was first in the list, or people picked blue team?
That was my guess, yeah.
Did you have stats on the number of badges dispensed in person versus machine?
Did we even track? Do we have a way to track that?
No, I think, so that capability didn't exist until Wednesday. And so we recognized a need and whipped something together to make that happen.
Yeah. Okay, here's the auto clicker video. Someone sent me this late Wednesday night. So, what this person did is they took a wire and wired it into the button and plugged it into the clock pin. So it would click that button once a second forever. Yeah, genius. Yeah, super good idea. So they just had it farming incident 1 all night long. Like, yeah, awesome.
Originally tried to get an Arduino out, and then we're like, wait, we already have a signal that does this.
There you go. Yeah.
How many coins did they get?
I don't know. Does anyone know?
Yeah, they were averaging 30 an hour.
Did they
So-
ever get to spend them?
I don't know. I have no idea, but they weren't the highest on
They only went through
coins.
mine once on yesterday morning.
Yes. Let me grab that. All right. Let me hang on a sec. All right. So, most burnouts? Parties started. Nice. Those parties joined. 30? That's pretty good.
Either they were very social or no one liked them kicking them out.
Most incidents played. Wow. 162. Considering there were 8 of them, that's impressive. All right. Biggest spender. That's a lot of coins. What did they buy?
One of everything.
One of everything? Okay.
That's why the line took so long.
Yeah. Most coins in the bank. Grifter, by far. Wow. Oh, Nightblood was the auto clicker. Okay, so yeah, he got a decent number of coins. Where's BP? That's impressive.
He's preparing for the horde downstairs.
Yeah.
His eye was twitching a bit.
Most sheep beaten. Does he? Nice. So, for any of you that don't know, we added an update yesterday, and there's a 9th level, and you can just play it over and over and over again, and it gets harder, right? Redacted? The last one gets harder and harder, the sheep? Oh, okay.
Until Saturday, every bad guy was a sheep. It was
It's true.
like we didn't have artwork for any of the bad guys, and so the default was every bad guy's a sheep. If you didn't have artwork, and they'd play the game and be like, "Oh," as we'd start putting our artwork in, we'd find guys that are still sheep and patch them out.
Yeah. Yeah, so Grifter was the first to finish the game. It's awesome. All right. Other questions? Yeah.
How long on average from start to finish did it take to finish a batch in the assembly line?
Assembly? Oh, gosh. I don't know. Probably 10 minutes-ish.
That also depends entirely on who was soldering.
Yeah, that's true. Person soldering made a big difference. Yeah, I don't know, because I didn't do one actually start to finish. It was all in batches. I don't want to count that. Yeah.
Possible to take the serial numbers requirement off the EEPROM?
Oh, you want to clone the EEPROMs without the serial numbers? I don't know. That makes the game too easy if you can just clone all the badges.
You can still clone the serial number too. And Arduino, you can answer both of those, right? Like it's still possible.
It's possible. It's not easy. All right. Other questions?
How do I hack the badge later to throw on something else? I need my PlayStation emulator.
PlayStation would be impressive. I saw someone do a Game Boy emulator. So yeah, USB port. It's an ESP32. You can program it with Arduino, with just the normal Espressif stuff, with whatever. There's no locks on it or anything. Hang on, Troy's calling me. Hello. Yeah. Okay, sounds good.
Serial number 10.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, bye. All right, we have one more question over here.
Yeah, with the new update, I just got firmware and it's got only 4 instances, not even on the local board. Just wondering how to get the other instances back.
So you can't access anything over incident 4 unless you're in a party. So that's the
And we'll be able to party it back with the new program.
That's the plan. With this firmware, I don't think so. We'll release some more. Real quick.
Saying, will you need to use the IR or
Well, we'll come up with another way that you can put in a code and do it. So Troy was letting me know that there's a giant horde downstairs already. So he is not going to start letting them get stuff until you guys get down there. So if you are after mini badges, I suggest we go get mini badges. Thank you.